You are watching Grand Admiral Free to Play.
Hello everybody, welcome to Grand Admiral Free to Play podcast, and today we're going to be discussing the history of our guild, the Iron Nation, which we love so much. I have here with me today our fearless leader, Director Keurig, also comes in decaf, and he's going to start us off talking about the history of Iron Nation.
Hello everyone. Iron Nation. So, when I first started playing the game, I didn't go around thinking, oh, well, I'm going to start a guild and be a fearless leader.
Yeah.
No, I was more interested in not being terrible, and I joined a guild with my first account, and I don't remember the name of the guild. I just remember the name of the leader. His name was Lucky Hero. Ooh. And there were some numbers on the end of that, but that's not important. He and his dad actually ran the guild, and after a while I got promoted to officer. I enjoyed being there, and unfortunately in a phone transfer I wasn't hooked up to Game Center and I lost my first account. Ooh. And it was a level 85 account. I had Zetas, I had Gear 11 characters, didn't have any Gear 12s.
And wasn't that like back whenever Gear 12 was kind of a new thing?
Yeah,
kinda
Gear
like
12 was pretty new.
Gear 13 is now or something?
I remember about the time I lost my account, Nihilus and Krennic were still pretty new to the game. If that puts it into perspective for some of you veteran players.
Before the dark days.
Yeah, before the dark days, before the Rebels. Oh boy. And at the time, Lee Lando was also in that same guild. That's my dad. As well as Grugrux, who had just started playing. And I remade a second account that would be Director Keurig, that you'll know me by. What ended up happening was I rejoined that guild, kind of explained my situation that I'd lost my account, and instead of backing me up and being kind about it for the many, many months of loyal service to the guild, I got promptly removed. And so did my old account.
I would cry.
And I was really bitter about it. Lando quit shortly thereafter, and so did Grugrux. And in my frustration, I say to myself and to my dad, hey, why don't we just go start our own guild and we run it how we like it, and nobody can push us around or bully us or kick us despite our loyal service. And so Iron Nation was born. At the time I was a junior in high school, maybe. What is that, 4 years ago at this point, almost?
Yeah, about 4 years.
About 4 years.
Back in your glory days.
Because I had started a new account, what was really funny was Lando, my dad, his account was stronger than mine. Which for the longest time, I had been ahead of him and I had been coaching him in the game.
I see.
But then he became the core of our guild for the longest time, because I was a low-level player. The only people joining were low-level players. For the longest time, I'd say over half of our guild was made up of members that went by Mole Eliza. You know, that default AI name.
Mole Eliza.
That somehow recently kind of disappeared, I don't know.
I know I've seen other guilds, and some of them in the description they say no Mole Eliza.
Yeah. For a while, it was just me and my dad and random people that joined here and there, and Grugrux joins. Initially, he, despite me offering, didn't really want to be an officer. He was just there for funsies. Yeah. He started getting into it later on, though, and I'm glad he's joined up in the officer team.
Oh, yeah. Yep. He's Old Faithful.
Oh, yeah, Old Faithful.
We're making references to more popular YouTubers right now in an effort to get more popular, but don't tell anybody we do that.
No, we don't do
that.
You
remember, just like that time, I don't know if you noticed, Director Keurig, but recently Cubs fan Han started mimicking Arnold's thumbnail style almost exactly. So,
did he really?
Yeah, like there's gonna go videos where I thought it was Arnold because the font and everything, so I'm wondering what kind of stuff's going on there.
I've got here up on my phone a bunch of screenshots because I've been asking people in the guild, and those of you who are in the guild that watch this, you'll know about this. I was asking some of y'all when you joined Iron Nation, and I think our first notable character that I don't know in real life would probably be Sabbath, and he's been here forever. He's been here, I think, 3 out of the 4 years the guild's been around. At least.
Yeah.
Back when he joined, we couldn't even beat the Rancor. And for the longest time, I remember it would be Leilando would do half of the Rancor damage, and then maybe the rest of the guild combined could barely do the rest of the phase 3 or 4.
It's so easy now.
Yeah, it's hindsight though. Ooh.
Yeah.
Another memorable character that hadn't been around quite as long, but has been around for a very long time was Carney Love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our one confirmed female member of the guild, and proud of it. She's like our guild mom.
She sends good vibes our way all the time.
Oh yeah, great vibes. We love Carney. And of course there's Lord Grack, who is without a doubt the comedic heart of the officer corps, if not the entire guild.
Yes. Lord Grack keeps us laughing. Literally, I laugh out loud at his stuff, which is something that I don't do often when I read plain text.
Right, you're just scrolling through chat and you see these just random dad jokes.
Yes.
It's great. I love it.
They're classy dad jokes, though.
Oh yes, and classy like this podcast, the most professional podcast, of course, with no awkward pauses and no silliness whatsoever.
Right. Well, that's what Premiere Pro's for.
Yeah. We've actually arrived at the point in the story, I think, about when you arrived.
Yeah.
So why don't you share your side of things about...
Well, okay, so I started playing this game, I really don't know how long ago it was, due to the fact that I didn't really get into it until I met Director Keurig here. I probably joined the game and played it a little bit, and at the time I was very impressed with it because, I don't know if anybody's ever played Angry Birds or something, but usually there's that one currency that you need to progress that they make you pay for, and I thought crystals were going to be that way. Thankfully they're not at all. That you can free to play this game if you're committed enough. But so I just I got a little Tarkin team. It was cute, and I kind of fizzled out for a while, and probably was dormant for 3 or 4 months. Then came back right before I came to college. The director and I are in college. I was in a starter guild, I think, and then I moved to another guild, which was not a starter guild, which was an okay guild. The people were nice, I remember. And then I met Director Keurig in one of our classes, and he saw me playing my game and probably thought, oh, that's a cute little account. Let me recruit him. He looks like he's a nice dude. So I joined the guild, and one of the reasons that I really got into the game was for the community. Like, this isn't a fun game unless you have people to play with.
It really isn't.
And yeah, it's like, you have personal achievements in this game, but the personal achievements for the sake of community achievements is like the second layer, and it's great. After I joined, I think we were at like 36 million power. I've been thinking about it. I think we were at 36 million GP at that point, or I remember being at that much at one point. And the director and I don't get tired of talking about this game. We talk about it, nonstop, theory crafting, telling bad jokes, doing crossover jokes with Marvel and other things that we don't wish to mention.
Marvel, Monty Python,
yes.
Princess Bride, Lord of the Rings, you name it. We're a couple of dorks.
Yes, we're definitely dorks. Which is why we don't have girlfriends. Anyway, so
that's so stang.
Oh man, I wish it were a joke. No, I'm just kidding.
Woo! The power of editing.
Yes. So we just talk about this game all the time, and the first big thing we did, and it took maybe a couple months after I joined, and we started really talking and both getting into it a lot more together, kind of at the same time, and we got the tank raid down maybe a month or two after I joined, and it was a huge achievement for our guild. We were all super pumped about it. After that, we started making a few changes to our active policy. See, Iron Nation is a guild of active, kind players. Yes, you can have it at the same time. You can have good, active leadership, which is also reasonable.
What?
Yes, I know your mind is blown.
Right? But we do totally load turn meter and not say anything.
Yeah, we may have done that a few times. It's in territory wars. Oh man, we're working on that. But yeah, we got the tank raid done, and I think at that point our GP was like, I want to say 50, and then just I've been in the guild maybe
a little over a year.
A little over a year now, yeah. And so we have jumped from 36 when I was here, and I didn't tell you my GP. I think it was like 400,000.
Yeah, it was
very low. And I had a Tarkin team, and I was like, man, I got this Empire team. I understand synergy a little bit. And I was like, but I have these Phoenix characters sitting around, and Director Gear was like, yeah, do Phoenix. And so I did Phoenix and got Thrawn, who's still my favorite character. I have one Gear 13 character, and if you can't guess who it is by my channel logo, then I don't know what you're doing here. But anyway, so I'm now 1.8 million. I've grown all the way there with this guild, and we're just community oriented. And now we're trying to simultaneously get the heroic Sith Raid down. We're getting tier 6 consistently now, and we're trying to start to focus down the territory battles. But yeah, I love the community. One of my big memories from the guild, and you'll remember this, was whenever we had another guild try to do a merger with us.
Oh, the hostile takeover attempt.
Yes, this was... Okay, so I want to be totally fair, because there's some people that may watch this video that I still know that went with the guild. I don't blame the guild itself that was trying to merge, but they sent a representative that was quite imperial, we'll put it that way. His language reminded us of an imperial takeover. He was very pushy, wouldn't take no for an answer, and so eventually put it up to a vote in the officer court. Because what he wanted to do was do an immediate merger, because their guild was falling apart, and it would have left probably 25 to 30 of our players, which at the time were not very active in the chat.
Right.
It would have just left them without a guild. They wouldn't have been able to come back. And we were like, we don't do that to people. We basically just had to say no, but I remember the guild unifying for that, and it kind of propelled us in the community aspect a lot more.
Right. But yeah, we were, what was it, they called us like a dying guild or something, to which we all laughed at them.
Yes, we're a guild on the rise, man. And also, I remember he was like, come on, I'm trying to throw you guys a bone.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
And it's like, he says to me, he's like, hey, we'll give you an officer position in the sister guild, and make sure you guys have some representation. I'm like, hold up. You're going to tell me to disband my guild and tell my friends to follow y'all's lead?
Right.
Nah, fam.
Right.
Nah.
And like, again, I don't necessarily fault the guild, but I just think the guy that came to represent was not the cream of the crop for their PR side.
Yeah. That guy had no sales pitching experience. This is clear.
Yeah. We'll put it that way.
Oh, Lord. Memorable moments. For me, I want to say a year or less into starting the guild, I had some officers. This was before Grugrux was an officer, but not too much before.
Yeah.
I think he was made an officer right after this happened.
Oh, this story.
Yes, this story.
PG-13 rated. Oh.
Yeah. I'll keep that in mind. So basically, I had some officers. Someone on our hall is just shouting bloody murder. That's funny. I hope that shows up in the recording. So some of Leolando has been an officer since the onset of Iron Nation. He's been the unofficial co-leader since, it's my dad and I. I could never put anybody else in that position. And he doesn't check chat much because, like most adults, he's a busy man. He's taking care of his family, and I love him to death.
Yeah.
But keeping up with chat is hard. Some of the officers wanted to make a Discord, and I entertained this idea, so I made a mistake, and I let them create the Discord. I did not have control over this Discord, and naturally, within 10 minutes of me joining the Discord, people were posting explicit images.
Yes. Explicit images.
And I was having none of it. I basically said, knock it off. This is a game chat, not a trashy Discord server.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're here to talk strategy and do game stuff. Keep that garbage out of here.
Right.
Like, they're children in the guild, and you can't be doing that.
There are, and there remain to be, and like we try to keep that in mind and keep the chat G to PG rated in our own guild.
Right. You can have fun and even express a great deal of frustration without verbal diarrhea.
Yeah. Yes, to put it mildly.
So, I had a falling out with those officers, and what ended up happening was they basically mutinied in the chat in the game and caused about what was half of the guild at the time to leave. Including someone who was extremely powerful. It was rank 1 in their fleet arena at the time.
Ooh.
He didn't speak very good English, but he was a very nice guy, and he didn't appreciate the drama. And that prompted me to do, for one of the only times, I kicked 3 officers.
Oof.
And then, shortly thereafter, I promoted Grugrux to officer because I needed someone's trust. And to quote Grugrux, that was the Discord gate.
Scandal,
fiasco.
Yeah, the Discord gate scandal.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it was interesting listening to you mention how you remember specific, like, guild GP and what raids we were doing.
Yeah.
My memory of that is terrible. Like, I remember how we struggled, but then it's gotten to a point where we've been doing it for so long, I just don't even think about it anymore.
Right, like the tank raid is done almost as fast as the Rancor now. I think our guild GP right now is 76, so we'll hit 80 really soon, but we're trying to master the Hoth battles first.
Right.
You know, we would not like to go into the Geonosian territory battles and get demoralized by like 1 star.
Right. Speaking of growth and stuff, some of our players are just going crazy recently.
Oh man,
like Timotheus.
Yes, Stoofy.
Oh my gosh, Timotheus, Stoofy. Was it Aki Sanakoi?
Yeah, man. Total Tank has been killing it lately. Sloppy Farts, man.
Yeah, like all
that?
4 of these guys have been here maybe a year, most of them less than a year.
Right.
And of course we have Bricked Mind, the sleeping giant who's been here forever but remains an enigma to this day. I have some vague understanding that most of the officers are approaching twice our age.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're a couple young whippersnappers.
Yeah, I'm like 20.
Yeah.
It's just fun hearing from people. Real life doesn't get into the guild much, which I think is a good thing. Because it helps us just, chill out and stuff.
Right.
The guild itself has grown so much. It's like a family to me.
Yeah.
It's a group of friends in a family, all rolled into one. I take an enormous amount of pride in Iron Nation, what it's become, what it's becoming, everything we've accomplished. We're so close to doing the Heroic Sith raid.
Yes.
So we've gotten the tank raid to a point where it's done in less than 20 minutes for the Heroic Tank. It's done in less than 10 for the Heroic Rancor.
Right.
And I can't remember the last time we lost a territory war.
Oh man, we killed territory wars.
It's amazing.
So I mentioned we had to instill some changes whenever we got the tank raid done. What we started doing was instead of just going on a base inactivity period, we started paying attention to event participation. And we're not mean, like we said. We have good leadership and we understand when people have to go offline. But all we ask is that people say something, or
right.
Or if they have a good track record, we give them a lot of grace, actually.
It's true, we do.
But what we started doing is there were a lot of people that would play every day or two, but they wouldn't do any events. So we started getting rid of those people, and that's when the GP started really just ramping up.
Yeah, it just started snowballing.
Because we're not an invite only. We don't know people. We're like that normal guild. I feel like we'll resonate with a lot of people because we have to work for it, and we're trying to do it without being mean to people. And it's going really well. The people that we've gotten lately are just great.
They really are. It's amazing. All these dedicated, hardworking, fun people are just coming out of the woodwork all of a sudden.
Right. And I mentioned Stoofy. Okay, so we have one Malik, and Timotheus got Malik. And we got one guy with a full Gear 13 Jedi Knight Riven team.
That's so crazy.
Stoofy, yes. And I'm amazed.
It just came out of nowhere.
Right. He's just like, I'm just going to Gear 13 this JKR team. And I think he was in rank 27 in his arena last time I checked.
Oh, my Lord.
That man is racking in the credits. Like, if you watch this, Stoofy, props to you.
Yeah, and you too, Timotheus. I remember I was watching chat, and we were cheering you on. because there was a part of us that's like, oh man, we believe in this guy, and then there's a part of us that's like, please get him out, get him out, like, we need this for the guild, and he got it, and we were just sitting there cheering.
Right. And our guild is a mix of like old faithfuls, and then we've got a few people that are kind of like hipster theory crafters.
Oh yeah.
And we fall into that category somewhat. We're a little bit rebellious. We have a few rebellious people, and what I mean by that is whenever people say you have to get Revan to excel in this game, we say, okay, we're going to go to the other direction.
Yeah.
And so
Geos, that's why Padme.
Right, and I have the fully legendary Commander Luke team. I've been working on it forever, and I'm just in love with it. I just put the finisher, Gear 12 finisher on Han, and his damage is insane. It's insane. He's busting heads.
I was just thinking back to when we were first starting to do the heroic tank, and I remember the first couple of times we actually beat it, it took me doing this incredibly complicated maneuver with my Imperial troopers, which at the time I thought were the greatest thing ever. I'm like, nothing's better than Imperial troopers. What are you talking about? And then Revan came along and promptly kicked my butt back down to the 1400s in Arena. What ended up happening is I'd go in phase 2, and I'd do like 50% and try my best to escape out, and then I'd come back in, do another 50%, basically do something like 6 to 8 million damage.
Yeah, and I remember I kind of took one for the team and put Thrawn's lead Zeta on. I kind of used the tank race as an excuse because I love Thrawn and I just wanted to max him, but I kind of was a big player in the first phase for a minute, and then literally like after 5 tries, our guild was like, nah, we got this. We got it, bro.
Right. That reminds me, speaking of leader Zetas, Sabbath put his very first Zeta on Darth Vader so we could beat the heroic Rancor.
Oh, yeah.
I remember him saying that to me, and that just jumped out at me as like, oh man. Like, that makes me feel old, but it also makes me feel like it's so heartwarming.
Right. Like to see people just do that, and actually Grugux just Gear 13 is his Jedi training Rey for the Sith. Yeah. So we're a team. We're working on it, and we're talking about really good people that we've gotten, but we actually have a hilarious story about one recent player that was toxic.
Yes, Captain Fruit Loop.
Oh yes, Captain Fruit Loop.
All right. Do you want to tell this story? Or do you want me to tell it?
I'll tell the first part, but I'll let you take over whenever you feel like it. So, we have a custom that if somebody's on, if like an officer's on, or anybody in the guild is on and somebody else joins, because we're not invited on them, like I said, so when we have a vacancy, it usually gets filled quickly. This guy joined, his game name is not Captain Fruit Loop, and thankfully we forgot, or else it might accidentally slip. But he joined, and I was like, "Welcome to Iron Nation." And the first thing he said, and I'm gonna say it like he meant it. He was like, "Oh, nice," and I was like, "Okay, all right." And so I start looking at this guy's inventory, and I see an inventory just running over with Gear 9. 1.4 million Gear 9 characters, like 5 Gear 11s maybe.
It was so bad.
It was horrible.
It was so bad.
I was like excited though because I saw a 7-star General Grievous and like a 5-star B1. This dude was farming the Grievous team, which is awesome right now. And so I was like, hey, you should totally just throw everything at that Grievous team and the bug team he had. He was farming the bugs too. Mm-hmm. I'm saying he had the stars, but he wouldn't do the gear. And this guy was like, okay, well then just ignore my rebels. And I was just like, really? Okay. I'm gonna let you take over now because you have the memories from the rest of the officer corps on this.
Yes, I have pulled up the account of Lord Greg, but I'll get to that in a moment. I would like to recount my side of this story, because this was the first week of school this semester, right?
Yeah.
I think it was actually over the weekend of the first week, and I'm sitting in here on my bed, quite tired. I'm half asleep watching something on YouTube on my phone, and then I get a call from you,
Yeah.
And you're like, man, you need to go check out chat right now. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, you just need to get on board.
Yeah.
And I hop on, and I start scrolling up, because what I see is just about 3 miles of chat.
Yeah.
And it's this one dude who's lucky I forgot his username. And he is just sitting there rambling about how it's almost like he's up there preaching a sermon about the evils of Gear 12.
Oh my gosh, this guy.
This man, not only did he have like all Gear 8, 9, 10 characters,
he was 1.4 million GP.
Right. How do you do that? He was, at the time, that's like 200k beneath where I was.
Right, like, this guy could literally have over 2 million easily if he'll put some gear.
Alright, so I start reading chat, and I'm like, man, this guy better have a good inventory. And I look up at his inventory, I'm like, this man's an idiot.
And like, he, not only was he preaching, he was like having a conversation with himself.
Yeah,
it was like
Gollum.
Yes, I was like, should we Gear 12 says no? And you should do that, because you're better at
Gear
that.
12 says it's evil. No, they wasn't. Yes, that is precious. I'm telling you, it probably sounded like that.
Yeah.
The man's hunched over, just crouched in his seat, not sitting. He is crouched
Yes.
on the balls of his feet, hunched over his phone, typing furiously.
Yes, and Lord Samwise Gamgee lit into him, but you continue. I'm giving spoilers.
So, speaking of Lord Greg, I'm going to begin speaking what he said to me, verbatim. Captain Fruit Loop. Well, I was optimistic at first. Thought he had a good plan going. But then he kept going on and on and on. Keeping your GP low is good, but it's not the win-all plan in this game. He bragged about how he never lost a Grand Arena, and most of his roster was undeveloped tunes. No Gear 12 or Gear 11, and hardly any that were 85.
Right, and the funny thing about that is, he was in Chromium.
Yeah, I'm in Chromium.
Yeah, or no. He was in the one. He was in the middle one. Is that
Carbonite.
Yeah. He was nowhere near a full win streak. But anyway,
continuing what Lord Greg said, I can understand not having resources to level to 85, but he was doing this deliberately and claimed he could beat anyone. At that point, he was being an irritating moron. I told him, and this is Greg speaking when I say this, I told him I could beat any team he could put together from his roster with my hunters alone.
Ooh, man. That was such a burn.
I hope I get a chance to face him in Grand Arena Championships so I can knock him down a peg or two.
Oh, yes. I also remember about this guy. After the sermon about GP, he started saying that he's been working towards Jedi Training Gray. And then he tells us his unlock team.
This man is so stupid.
He said, I've been working on Lando, Mission, Zalbar, and the Vets for JTR. And Lord Grack was in the chat this was Sabbath. Sabbath was in the chat, and he said, I want to see him try to unlock JTR with Lando. Oh, and then I was like, you don't think that the JTR unlock team is Lando and them, do you? And he was like, he totally mistook me, and he was like, give Lando a chance.
Yeah, he's like, give
lead.
old Lando a chance.
I know I went to the officer chat, and I see Greg, and he was like, or Lord Greg, rather. He has an alt named Greg. He's an altaholic, self-professed altaholic. Anyway, I see him saying, this guy looks like he's a few tunes short of a full inventory. And that was strike one. I laughed out loud.
And this is where I chime in, and I'm totally backing up Greg here. Right after he said something about his bounty hunters, and I look at him and I go, my No Zeta Padme team would whoop your butt.
Yes. Oh,
and
man.
the guy has a temper tantrum in chat at this point at me and Greg. And it says, if you don't like it, you can kick me. And I said, gladly.
Yes.
And then he disappeared.
Yes, he just left.
This prompted a change of the rule set of Iron Nation to never again allow the likes of Captain Fruit Loop to walk among us.
Yeah, we literally put it on the description. It's like, heroic tank, Rancor, don't be Captain Fruit Loop.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm excited. I always get excited. I'm impatiently waiting for the next territory war because I love having the opportunity to sit there and watch my guild kick butt and take names and chew bubblegum and all that.
Take butt.
Release the Kraken.
Oh yes, release the Kraken.
Take butt, kick names.
I'm sorry, that was the messed up version of an Infinity War quote for those of you movie junkies. But yeah, I'm really excited too, and our territory wars are really fun because we're trying to get everybody on swgoh.gg so we can plan more, but you know, it's a slow. Yeah, kind of.
I promise I pay attention to chat, y'all.
Well, I've been encouraging it. I say we're trying when I mean I've just been like mentioning it. We've got like 14 out of 50. Anyway, sometimes our people will just pull something out of a hat. We'll be stuck and then go through 5 zones.
Right? They just chew through like Solid Gold, Bounty Hunters, EP, Revan.
Right.
We don't. Bricked Mind never says anything, gets on, takes an entire sector by himself.
Yes, I love that dude.
It's like Hermit Yoda, an ancient mystic living out in the wilderness.
Right.
And he just decides to grace us with his presence.
Yes, when he graces us, it's always
If you
fun.
see this, we love you, Bricked.
We love you, Bricked. I hope you watch this video.
He won't leave a comment.
No, watch him leave it. Speaking of people that don't talk, I remember whenever we said it.
Oh,
tell him what we
my
said.
dad. I basically, this was the point where I was pointing out to everyone in chat that Leelando is my dad in real life. And I wasn't expecting him to read chat because he normally doesn't. And I say, he's not going to say anything, and I doubt he's going to see any of this. Having him talk in chat is like having a double blue moon. And to which I promptly read, I guess 2 blue moons have risen then.
From Leelando.
Yeah, from Leelando. And I'm like, boy! The yank of my chain. Oh boy.
It's a lot of fun.
It really is. I love it. I want to take a moment to say thank you to all of you, especially my officers, Leelando, Grugrux, Sabbath, Timotheus, Carney, and yes, Bricked too, even though we don't hear from him much. You are our silent hero, the silent protagonist of this story.
Yes.
And thank you, Avenger, for all your hard work to help me get this guild's butt in gear, and I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Oh, I can't wait either. We got great things in store. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that y'all have enjoyed this, and I hope that somebody listens to the whole thing.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, don't forget to do all that good stuff. And thanks for listening.